Hello dear viewers, today, we invite you to embark on an extremely harsh journey of survival, where humans and nature confront each other in the coldest conditions on Earth. This is the story of fishermen and hunters living in the Arctic region of the globe, where snow covers the whole year round. The wind blows fiercely, and the cold can freeze even hope if humans are not strong and skillful enough. In a place where temperatures can drop below -40 degrees Celsius. Fresh food sources are extremely rare, and seals, the agile animals of the Arctic Ocean, have become the main food source that has helped them survive for thousands of years. We are at the edge of the Arctic, where the silent and dangerous icebergs are gradually cracking. Indigenous fishermen and hunters are not only brave people, they are symbols of the pinnacle of human adaptation to the environment. When winter lasts for months, when the sun never rises and there is only darkness. People cannot rely on agriculture or on products from the outside. Everything depends on hunting skills, especially hunting seals. Small wooden boats, sealed with animal skins and resin, drift on the cold sea ice, where even a mistake can mean they will never return. In the morning in the small Arctic village, the whole community knows that today will be an important hunt. The men prepare their tools, spears, sharp spears, ropes made from animal tendons. And their sharp eyes scan every crevice of the ice to recognize where seals often surface to breathe. They do not hunt indiscriminately, but must know how to observe signs such as skid marks in the snow, breathing holes in the ice, or faint cries echoing in the silence. When they discover a suspicious spot, they lie in the snow, motionless for hours, waiting for the seals to surface. The moment is fleeting, just a few seconds to breathe. And they must act with instinct. A quick, decisive lunge is launched through the seal's thick layer of blubber. If successful, they quickly close in on their prey, using ancient techniques to ensure a quick, painless death, without compromising the quality of the meat. If unsuccessful, the seal disappears into the dark waters beneath the ice, and the hunters must wait again. In the bitter cold, seals are hunted for more than just their meat. Their thick blubber is used to make oil for lighting during the dark months. Their skins are tanned into windbreakers, warm boots, and covers for kayaks. Every part of the body is used, nothing is wasted. But most of all, the meat is vital, rich in fat, iron, and protein, helping people here get through the long, cold winters without malnutrition. The seal hunt is also dangerous. The thin ice can break at any time. When adult seals are injured, they sometimes fight back violently, causing injuries to the hunters. The cold wind and darkness can also make them easily disoriented if they are not experienced. There have been heartbreaking stories of men never returning from a hunt, but the community continues, because it is the only way to survive. Today, in the face of criticism from some Western animal protection organizations, traditional seal hunters have had to stand up to defend their way of life. They do not hunt for fun, but for survival. They do not destroy nature, they live in harmony with it, never overhunting, and are always grateful to each creature that helps them get through the winter. Banning the seal hunt would mean taking away an entire culture, one of the oldest ways of life that still exists today. For many, eating seal meat may be unthinkable, but for those living in the Arctic, It is the only choice, the most abundant source of nutrition. A source of pride in the ability to survive in the harsh nature. They do not waste. They respect every piece of meat, every drop of blood of the animal. They tell stories around the fire, about successful hunts, about the first time a boy ate raw seal meat, or the feeling of hearing the first squeak of prey in the pitch-black night. The world out there changes every day, but in this coldest place on earth, tradition lives on, in the howling wind. The sound of water cracking under the ice, and the murmur of conversations around the fire. Seals are still the center of life. People here continue to catch, process, and eat seal meat as their ancestors did thousands of years ago. Today's story is a reminder that survival doesn't just come from modern technology or convenient food sources. It comes from understanding nature, from humility and ingenuity in every action. It is the art of living, an art that has been honed through ice and snow. Through hardship, and through gratitude for every animal that has sacrificed so that humans can continue to live. Thank you for watching today's video. If you feel that this is a different, emotional and thoughtful perspective on the natural world and human culture, please click the like button, share this video with your loved ones, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other extraordinary survival journeys. Goodbye and see you in the upcoming episodes. But it's not just seals that feed the Arctic. As the ice melts, the sea opens up to fishermen for a different kind of livelihood, a much larger, more brutal, and more challenging one, catching hundreds of tons of fish in giant bottom trawls. This is when the big trawlers are ready, no longer small kayaks nestled in the snow, but ships tens of meters long, specially reinforced to withstand the cold waves, floating ice, and the pounding from the bottom of the Arctic Ocean. On deck, the sailors are preparing one of the most dangerous and powerful types of fishing equipment, the bottom-trawl. This is a giant net, hundreds of meters long, weighing up to a ton. Dragged close to the seafloor to sweep up any large schools of fish. Not everyone dares to use this type of net in the Arctic Ocean, because if it gets caught on a reef or an underwater iceberg, the entire system can be torn apart or the boat can capsize. But for the brave fishermen who live here, they are all too familiar with the risk. In exchange, hundreds of tons of precious fish every day, when the sonar signal from the fish finding system detects schools of cod, flounder, whitefish and black cod moving close to the bottom. The entire crew immediately gets into position. Arms that roll up steel cables as thick as an adult's wrist start working. The net is lowered from the stern of the ship, slowly sinking to the ocean floor, where there is great pressure, freezing temperatures and complete darkness. Inside the net are specially designed meshes that retain adult fish but allow small creatures to escape, ensuring that the ecosystem is maintained. The ship moves steadily for 2 to 4 hours, pulling the net for miles in the cold ocean. On deck, the roar of engines, the screeching of cables, and the crashing of waves against the ship's hull. combine to create a vital symphony between man and sea. As the net fills, some of the seawater begins to change color. Schools of fish begin to float along the net, shimmering silver in the pale polar light. The sight of the net being pulled up is one of the most epic moments in fishing. A cascade of silvery white fish, as thick as liquid cement, pours onto the deck. Cod over half a meter long, flat flounder like giant shields, plump whitefish. All of it makes up a huge mass that the naked eye cannot accurately estimate. The fishermen do not cheer, they just focus on their work, using large aluminum shovels to scoop the fish into the hold. Checking for freshness, and quickly cleaning off the blood and viscera. Each hold is frozen on site using an industrial refrigeration system powered by diesel. To preserve the freshness of being caught from the sea. Time is money. Even a few minutes of delay in processing can render hundreds of tons of fish useless. That's why fishermen here don't sleep. They work 20 hours a day, in short shifts to ensure each catch is perfectly processed. Unlike tropical waters, where fish can be caught all year round, the Arctic has only a short window from late spring to early autumn when fishing is safe. So, in those few short months, fishermen have to make the most of every hour, every minute. Fishing boats hardly ever return to shore. Instead, they are resupplied with fuel and food by sea shuttles. They spend 10 to 15 days at a time, amidst vast seas, freezing icebergs and sudden snowstorms that can strike at any time. What's special is that most of the fish caught is not only for local consumption, but is also exported to many countries, especially Japan, Korea, the United States and Europe. The large cod are carefully processed, filleted to international standards, packaged and frozen on board, and then shipped directly to high-end markets. Each fish can sell for tens of dollars, and the total value of a successful trip can reach millions. But to get that profit, the fishermen have to pay with blood, sweat, and even life. Many times, fishing boats have capsized because of ice waves, or become trapped in waters that freeze faster than expected. A crack in the bottom net can cause a catch worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to disappear completely. There are seasons when fishermen have to return empty-handed after dozens of days of struggling at sea. And there are still boats that never return, lost in the white ocean, without a trace. Yet for those living in the polar regions, this is the only job that can feed the entire community. It is not a simple livelihood, it is a tradition, a source of pride. They pass on to their children how to read the waves, how to identify fish currents, how to test the strength of their nets, and how to survive in the bitter cold. Under their thick life jackets and gloves are resilient people, silently contributing to the global seafood industry. On that ship, amid the freezing cold fish holds, people still tell jokes, still drink hot tea from thermoses, and still remember their families. Far away inland, every time a trip ends and the port arrives, refrigerated trucks are waiting to receive the fish, while people wave their hands to welcome their fathers, husbands, and brothers back safely. The atmosphere is very emotional, because everyone understands that each trip is a gamble with death. From hunting seals to survive in the cold, to dragging bottom nets to harvest hundreds of tons of fish in the deep sea. All reflect the strong survival ability, courage and intelligence of humans in the battle with nature. It is a story that cannot be told in just a few minutes, but the whole life of people who live for the sea, earn a living on the cold water, and silently sacrifice to bring precious food to the world. After the giant fishing boats arrive at the port, carrying hundreds of tons of fish caught from the Arctic seabed, that harsh journey of survival is not over yet. Each crate of frozen fish was loaded and unloaded by crane, continuously for hours, without stopping. The port workers were on duty in advance, wearing thick protective suits, windproof goggles, and cold-resistant leather gloves. No one said much. Everyone understood that time was the biggest enemy in seafood processing. If there was a delay, if the ice melted or the fish were exposed to the air for too long, an entire catch could spoil. Stink, and cost millions of dollars in just a few hours. The fish were immediately put on closed conveyor belts in the freezing plant located on the edge of the port. Unlike factories in temperate regions, where fish are processed in artificially cooled spaces, here, the cold was real. It was -10 degrees Celsius outside the factory, and even colder inside. Every step, every breath created a thick white smoke, and if the face was not covered, it could be frostbitten in minutes. But the workers here were all too used to it. They are not just working. They are continuing a mission to extend the chain of survival in the harsh natural environment. On the first processing line, giant flounders are placed on steel tables, each piece of smooth white meat exposed under the smooth skin. Automatic machine knives glide like the cuts of a skilled miner, removing the spine, head, and intestines in seconds. But not everything is automatic. Workers still have to manually check each fillet to make sure there are no bones, bruises, or organs left. For high-end export markets like Japan or Europe, just a little mistake is enough to cause hundreds of kilograms of goods to be rejected. Cod is handled differently. After being cleaned, they are classified by weight, under 2 kilograms, 2 to 4 kilogram, and special over 5 kilograms. This last type is the most valuable, usually kept whole, carefully vacuum packed and placed in wooden crates lined with dry ice. Then loaded onto planes and shipped directly to high-end fish markets or prestigious Michelin restaurants. The remaining fillets are cut into small cubes, prepared for shock freezing in liquid nitrogen at -60 degrees Celsius. No one laughs in this factory, not because they are tired, but because they know that every minute counts. The effort of the fishermen who have just returned from the rough seas. Behind each block of fish meat is blood, cold, howling winds and sleepless nights in the middle of the ocean. That is why every step is carried out with the utmost seriousness. A mistake in labeling, a loosely closed box, or a torn package can destroy an entire export order. After freezing comes packaging and quality control. Laboratory experts randomly sample each batch of fish, measuring the core temperature